not everybody's going to have the same beliefs, the same values, the same background as you, but it teaches you how to work together. We're not always going to agree together, but respect is one of the keys.
This is Dental All-Stars, where we bring you the best in dentistry on marketing, management, and training.
Welcome to Dental All-Stars. I'm Eric Vickery, President of Coaching at All-Star Dental Academy, and I am so excited to interview our guest today, Allistair McCaw. I've been following him or stalking him on social media for a few years now. I love everything that he has to offer. We're going to have an amazing coach come on and talk about how to create success. So he's truly an amazing coach, and he's going to go over all that. We're going to ask him some questions. And what you need to know about him is he's a 6-time best-selling author and speaker. He's recognized as one of the world's foremost figures in leadership, team culture, and mindset. Hopefully that sounds familiar to our listeners. For over 30 years, he has consulted and worked with some of the most successful leaders, coaches, athletes, and organizations in the world. Having spoken in no less than 50 countries, he continues to fulfill his passion and purpose by teaching, inspiring, and motivating people all over the world. He resides in South Florida. You'll be able to tell by his accent that he's from South Florida. So welcome, Allistair. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Eric. I'm not too sure about my accent being from Florida, but then again, there's so many different people down here. It's like a melting pot. So
Yes.
It's great to be with you. Thanks so much.
It's my joy to get to interview you. I've been wanting to discuss just the things that you talk about with our clients, with our listeners. And I would just really want to get your insights on how to help dentists, their team members on a successful mindset, a successful leadership model, a culture. So I know this is your forte, your niche, the things that you focus on, but you really do focus a lot on athletes and their mindset, right? Is that really your primary focus, or what would you say?
Not necessarily. I mean, that is my background.
Okay.
I was in the sports performance field for a good 25 years, and was lucky to be at all the Grand Slams and majors and all those events that you dream of as a kid to be at. So I was around Olympians and world champions and got to work with all these great athletes. But I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, transitioned over to leadership, to team culture, organizational culture. But really, it comes down to the same thing. It comes down to getting the best out of the individual and understanding what motivates them.
Yeah. I see your book, Champion Mindset, right there that I love. It's a great book. It has some great nuggets in it for people just focusing on how to be successful, starting with yourself. So that word successful, how do you define success? It seems like such an intangible thing.
Well, that's a great way to start. And that's a great first question, because it's one of the questions I asked when I speak at a live audience or at a conference, for example, is who wants to be successful? And of course, all the hands go up immediately. And then the second question I ask is, would you be able to define success for yourself? And this is a great question for the listeners right now. Would you be able to define success if clearly? And it's just amazing, is because I would say less than 30% of the hands go up after that second question. So everybody wants to be successful, but if you haven't defined it, it's almost like getting in your car and driving somewhere, but you're not exactly sure where you're going. You're driving, but you're not sure where you're going. So how would I define success? Eric, it's changed over the years. We all adapt, we all evolve. People that are listening to this podcast right now are people who are investing in themselves. So I know that when you invest in yourself more, you evolve, you change. I definitely know I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm sure you're not, and I'm sure the listeners would agree that you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. There's been a lot of things that have happened there, good and bad, that have changed your beliefs, changed your values, changed your life, for example. So, in my 20s, success to me was probably like most 20-year-olds, fame, fortune, a sports car, a good-looking girlfriend, all these things of when you're maybe 20 years old. 30, that changed, where reality hits you a little bit in the face, where you've got to pay the bills, you've got to, and of course that already started in my 20s, but perspective changes then into your 40s, for example. But where I am right now, and that is late 40s, of course, for me, the ability to get up and to choose my day. So in other words, I would say that success is freedom. It's the ability to get up, choose my day, and choose who I want to do it with. And I'm very fortunate to be in that position through years and years of hard work and graft to be able to get up and choose my day and choose my schedule, for example. And to me, that is success.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Every time we start with a client, we talk about vision and these sorts of things. Say, you have to define success as a coach. I'm not going to tell you what success is. You got to define it. And then I'm going to give you some pointers throughout that process. I couldn't agree more. So you mentioned freedom, you mentioned choosing. So you start to tap into finding that out for yourself and defining it for yourself. Let's talk purpose. Why is it important? But also, how do you find it? How does one really figure that out? Find their why, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm very, very fortunate. One of my passions is to work with younger people as well, and elementary, high school, and students in college. And of course, that's a very challenging period as well, especially in college. That daunting task of going out into the real world and finding yourself, for example. But it's a question I get quite a lot, especially from that generation. The 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, etc. Is how do I find my purpose? And my best advice there is to try as many things as possible, to experience as many things as possible. I always believe traveling at a young age. It's one of the first bits of advice I give young people, is to travel as much as you can. It really opens up your mind. It opens up your world. Build as many relationships as you can. That's important as well. I think if there's something I would change, and this is actually one of the next books I'm working on, if there was things I could change when I was in my 20s, and I wouldn't say I have regrets about it, because everything happens for a reason, is to build more connections and build relationships. And that shouldn't stop at any time in your life. That's the key to happiness as well, as we know from studies, is that your relationships is the key to happiness. But finding your purpose is really about trying as many things as possible, experiencing many things as possible, seeing what you enjoy doing. And maybe you've heard of Ikigai, which is the Japanese theory of finding your purpose, finding your passion, finding something that you get paid for, something that's a vocation, for example. And I'm very, very fortunate. I know that not everybody's in this position, and this is my purpose. So this is where we're going with on this, is to help as many people achieve their purpose, to realize their purpose in life as well. And I've been very fortunate through trial and error and lots of failures to get to that place of being able to help others. And that's what fulfills me. That's my purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I like to say everyone's important. It doesn't matter who you run to. It's that relationship is key. It teaches you something. There's always something to learn from somebody, no matter where they are in life. And the second thing, I actually tell a story a lot to clients and people who come to our seminars. I hated dentistry. Absolutely hated it. I didn't know what. I was like, what am I doing here? For about 5 months. And then I realized when I wrote my vision, I'll never forget Dr. David Pierce sitting on an airplane next to me from Baltimore back to Augusta, Maine, where we were flying into. I guess it was Augusta, Maine, maybe Boston. And he helped me write out my vision, just showing me how to do this. And I was young. I was 24 years old. And I realized that I find my joy in helping others get results. And just got off a meeting with a person I've worked with for over 15 years in Alaska. And she was telling stories about how the team members around her were impressed with the skill set she had. And she was, thanking me for that. And that I said, well, you're filling my why cup today then. That finding that joy in that is incredible. And so hating dentistry, but loving what I do, I may not, I don't know how to do a filling. I'm not, people often say, are you a dentist? Just because I'm a guy, I suppose. But yeah, I don't even like looking in patient's mouth. I'd pass out if I saw blood. So I don't really love dentistry per se. Like I love great looking teeth. I love smiles. I love all of that part of it, but it's the process of patients getting healthy that I love. When patients walked out to me and said, oh my gosh, this has been the best experience ever. That brought me joy, not the bonding material that we used or anything like that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what field you're in, what business you're in the people business.
Yes.
Regardless of who we're talking about now, dentistry or a shoe salesman or car or whatever it may be, you're in the people business. And
Yes.
each and every single one of us have the ability to make somebody's day better. I'm sure because this is a dentistry or a
Yeah.
dentist podcast, you have the ability to put a smile on people's faces. I always
That's
say
right.
this. I always say this to coaches as well, is that we have a choice of where we go to get coached, or where we go to the dentist. I have a choice here in Florida, and I'm sure like around the United States is within probably 5 miles. You have more than 10, maybe
Yeah.
10, 15 choices of which dentist to go to.
Yeah.
Um, and the dentist I choose is someone that I want to feel comfortable with. I want to feel safe with, but I also want to feel that I enjoy my visit there. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, as from a kid, you're sometimes traumatized going to the dentist. But if the receptionist is nice
Mm.
and the environment is positive and so on and so forth, it can be an enjoyable experience.
100% agree. I tell my clients all the time, sure, we're in the tooth industry, but we're in the relationship business. And you have to
100%.
get, yeah, you have to get, there's a person, a tooth didn't walk through the door, right? There's a person attached to the teeth. And that's what earns the right to do the tooth part that you love is the people part. All right. I
Well,
love it.
just to jump in there, sorry,
Yeah.
Eric, Carnegie Institute, did the study where, 85% of your financial success is going to come down to your interpersonal skills.
And yep.
And, this is something I like to say to sports coaches is that, people don't come to you for your exercises. People come to you for your energy.
Mm,
Because they have a choice, and
yeah.
same can be applied to any industry. Is that we come to you for your energy,
Yeah.
your interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that's what brings people back.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. We in our level 1 seminar, we have a slide, Carnegie U says right on there. It says 15% of your success is from your technical expertise, your foundation, and 85% is from your people skills, your energy, your ability, your EQ, right? Your relationship management. So just amen to that. I love it. So someone's listening to this right now, start really thinking about what you enjoy to determine your purpose, what brings you joy, what are your passions, and how do you get that through your profession? Is that a fair synopsis?
Yeah, again, it's people.
Yeah.
I would say in my first half of my career, I didn't necessarily want to work with certain people, and that's just being honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it teaches you how to get along with others, to
Mm,
understand the indifferences. When
yeah.
you're in a team environment, not everybody's going to have the same beliefs, the same values, the same background as you, but it teaches you how to work together. We're not always going to agree together, but respect is one of the keys. But I would say later on in life now, and your very first question was define success, was that I get to choose my day, I get to choose my people
Yeah.
that I want to work with. And that's where I am in my life, like right now. And regardless of what age you are in your life, if that's something that appeals to you, you can work towards that. But you've really got to put in the hours and in the hard work to get to that point. But I'm super
So good.
fortunate that I'm able to, I've turned down clients, I've turned down possible projects that I maybe just didn't align with,
Mm,
or saying I didn't like the people. That's not the case as well, because we can't always be around people we like. It doesn't teach us how
that's
to,
good.
it doesn't teach us how to adapt and to understand other opinions. But it's a key thing in building your personality is understanding others.
Yeah.
We talk about emotional intelligence is a big one where, first of all, your personal competence, knowing yourself, is key, but your social competence, understanding others better.
Yeah.
And the best people in the fields in different fields of work and sports understand others better.
Yes. So true. So true. I love it. We use our we go DISC personality profile, we do strengths finders, and we do emotional intelligence. So everything that you're about and what you talk about is so right on with where we want our leaders to be and our team members. And speaking of leaders, I got another question for you. So what would you say? I don't know. Give me top 3 qualities of leadership. Just where do you fall on that?
Like anything else, it's got to be something that you're passionate about.
Okay.
And again, we can go to purpose there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is not a job. It's not a title. Simon Sinek says it well as well. It's not a position.
Mm-hmm.
For me, leadership is something you're called to. I never, I never set out earlier on to become a leader.
Mm.
It's something you're called upon and something that pulls you. So I would say, first of all, it'd have to be something you're passionate about. I spend my days reading up on leadership, listening to leadership podcasts, not because I have to, but because I want to, and I want to become a better leader, not in terms of leading others, but in leading myself better, because that's where it starts. So that would be the first one. I'd also say authenticity. People can see right through you if you're not being true to yourself and who you really are as a person. Being vulnerable shows your authentic self. No one is inspired by a perfect leader. People are more inspired by your imperfections than your perfections and what you overcome. So, people don't trust a leader that seems that they have everything
they can't relate to that.
They can't relate to that. Exactly.
Yep.
So that would be the second one, authenticity. I said the third one would be a great communicator, a great listener. Okay. And in my first book, actually, 7 Keys to Being a Great Coach, which is a great leadership book as well, because coaching is leadership and vice versa. I talk about being an 80-20 communicator. Listen 80% of the time and communicate 20% of the time. Now, I wrote that book in my 30s because I was looking back at my 20s as a coach, where I probably spoke 80% of the time. I thought coaching and leadership was about telling other people what to do and instructing others. And what happens is when you talk, you don't learn. And I wasn't a good listener in my 20s. And when you have the ability to keep quiet, listen to what your client, your customer, your athlete in front of you is saying and how they're feeling, that's when you can really tap into them. That's where the connection happens.
Yeah.
And that's something that changed for me. So become an 80-20 communicator.
Alfredo Pareto, that guy, the economist from Italy who came up with the 80-20 principle. It works in so many ways, and I couldn't agree more. And I also agree with my problem of speaking too much too. That would be my.
Oh, you're a podcast host.
Yeah. So, supposed to ask questions and be quiet. All right, I love it. Such good points. So, my wife, she's so into thriving, avoiding burnout, all of these things. I love that. I love tapping into those, listen to podcasts and all that. And a lot of what you see has to do with habits and being a leader. How do you create habits and creating culture and habits? This word keeps coming up. So talk about habits, tips, how important are habits and building them? What's your perspective on that?
Well, I think it's something I've seen in the most successful people, the most high performers, is that they have better habits. They're more consistent in their habits. That would be the difference. Now, they don't have everything perfect. We all have bad habits. Even great leaders and successful people have bad habits, including myself. But there's more consistency in the habits that really matter. I always believe, having a bedtime and having a wake up time and having structure, having a morning routine, having structure to your day is incredibly important. And this is something I try to pass on to the younger generation, because there's more and more distraction today than there was maybe back when I grew up, with electronics and so on and so forth. So there's more distraction. I even find myself scrolling through Twitter and Instagram, back over to email and so on, before I've had breakfast. And is that a good habit? I don't think so. Because you can get easily just pulled into that, and all of a sudden it's 7:30. You were supposed to be somewhere 10 minutes ago. So it's important to discipline yourself with the important habits and contribute to a productive day, to contribute to a better self. Something I always talk to about with my mentors is taking pen and paper and writing down, what habits you'd like to eliminate, what new habits you'd like to introduce, and then we start just by one. So the goal would be for this week is that we eliminate one habit and we introduce one habit. That's it. Even if you had 10, 15, 20 habits written down on that piece of paper. And something I believe, and this is something I tried on myself and with a few clients as well, is in the 99 theory. And what is that? I believe it takes, there's a theory that, it takes 21 days, it takes 66 days. There's all these theories about how long it takes to build habits. I believe it takes at least 90 days. And let me tell you why, is because, the 21 days or the 66 days, we've tried this and with certain people as well. And there's, it's easier to go off it the longer you're in that that momentum and in that pattern of doing things for longer than 90 days. It becomes more ingrained. And then it takes 9 days to lose a habit, which, we know we can lose a habit very, very quickly. If you don't go to the gym for a few days, then it starts to become, well, okay, I'll go on Thursday, or I'll go on Friday, or whatever it may be, or the most famous one, I'll go on Monday, or I'll start the diet on Monday, for example. But yeah, I believe it takes 90 days to build a habit and just 9 days to lose one.
Yeah, I tell people all the time when they come up with their New Year's resolutions, motivation lasting 7 days, these things that you hear, is like, don't bother making friends at the gym until January 9th, because they might not be there. So I love that. So the 99 theory.
By the end of February, I think the stat is more than 77% have ended their New Year's resolutions.
77%.
I thought, to be honest with you, I thought it would maybe be a little higher than that even. But by the end of February, more than 77% have failed on their New Year's resolutions.
Wow. Yeah. And you even start to hear people say, I don't believe in resolutions. Like, yeah, because you are doing them. And so creating habits. So small steps, a bunch of small steps leads to a big thing. That 1% everyday type perspective. Is that in line with what you're suggesting?
Yeah. Start small. Build from there, one day at a time. And it's about the process, not getting too far ahead of yourself. Be realistic as well. Why people fail New Year's resolutions and new habits is because they just go all out. I'm going to be at the gym 7 days a week, and I'm going to eat salads and chicken every evening and have a protein shake in the morning. And after 4 days, that's just exploded.
It's exhausting.
So be realistic. 3 times a week to the gym is a great goal. Also something I challenge my clients to is, just 20 minutes. If you can just do 20 minutes of exercise a day or walking, that's a great achievement. And I can't tell you how many examples have gone on to, making it a lifestyle because it was easy and achievable in the beginning. A lot of people give up on habits and give up on exercise because it's not enjoyable and it's painful and so on and so forth. So, start small. 20 minutes a day is a great target.
Love it. And from a dental perspective, we have habits, our coaching hacks, verbal skills, EQ, the relationship management side, these systems that are, we make sure you can grab them, but they're words. Start small, put little pieces together. And then what they do is they stack over time. So we don't give you the whole thing to try to implement at once. It's pieces and pieces and pieces, but you got to create habits through coaching, through practice, role playing, repetition, all of that. So speaking of all of this, so you obviously get to travel. You see teams all around the world, and there's this word culture that I'll hear clients speak to. They'll say, I want to have this healthy culture, and it's intangible. It's this word, but how do I create it? And so speak to us about culture. What have you seen? What are some of the best cultures that you've seen as you've visited these other businesses all over the world? What could you share with us about culture?
It all starts with the leadership, as cliche and obvious as that sounds, but you cannot have a great culture without great leadership from the top. Even if you have great leadership in the middle, for example, if there's still, coming from the top, if there's not good leadership and good support there, then, it's always going to be a challenge. In great cultures, I've seen more honesty, more psychological safety, or the ability to speak up if something's bothering you, because there's always going to be issues. Culture is a moving dynamic. Each day brings its challenges. Wherever there's human beings involved, there's going to be challenges, and there's going to be different moods and different energies in the building, for example. So how do we deal with those? So in great cultures, there's more of an open, honest culture. There's good communication, something we've already spoken about, which we spoke about in leadership. There's good collaboration, and this is something where ego can get in the way of good chemistry and good collaboration. Is some people thinking that they're smarter than others or above others, for example. that can get in the way. So collaboration is high in great cultures. This is the thing I like to tell a lot of teams and a lot of organizations is that, being part of a team doesn't mean that you agree with everybody. You've got to come to a common agreement in terms of it's not always going to go your way. It's not always going to go along with what you believe, and you have to go along with that sometimes as well and support that idea, even if you didn't support that idea. And that's difficult. I get it. But that's what it means to be part of a team and part of an organization. I would say if there's just one more thing that I've seen in great cultures, there's enjoyment. It's an enjoyable environment. Great cultures is where people enjoy to go to work, and it's as simple as that. You look forward to, find a job. I always like to say, find a job or career where you look forward to Monday morning.
That's right.
That can be a challenge, but you're not stuck. You're not a tree. You have choices. Yes, is it uncomfortable? But find a job that you find a job in an environment that you love to go to, and it's one of the most uplifting and fulfilling experiences.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed. I have no idea how I ended up in the position I'm in, and I wake up every morning and I go through my I am statements. I go through my self-talk. I go through all that, and I get a smile on my face thinking about the opportunities that I have to speak in people's lives. And again, I don't know what I did to deserve it. I'm not trying to devalue who I am at all, but I'm very, very thankful for where I'm at. And I think that sometimes people always think there's just something better down the road. Maybe there is something better for me down the road, but I need to enjoy what's happening right now. And time goes by way too fast not to do that. So find some joy at the end of the day. Look back at that day and say, what was a win today? What was something that went really well today? And that will be your 20% you need to find joy in. So you go home with a smile on your face. So gosh, I love that. So good. So let's talk about self-reflection, the importance of it. You talk about this a lot. This is, I think, a key thing that I pick up from you in your social media and things you talk about. And so why is it important? What is it? Why is it important?
Self-develop and self-leadership all comes from self-reflection. If you don't have the ability to look within yourself and see where you can improve, you're never going to get better. You're never going to develop as in your career or develop as in life. So I believe self-reflection is the key to self-development. It is the key to self-leadership. It can be a very uncomfortable experience as well. But just, as you mentioned there in that previous question is, you asked yourself that question, what did I do well today? Where was my win today? And that is important self-reflection. So I have these 3 questions that I ask myself at the end of each day. And I used to journal them, and I believe in journaling, which is, a great tool. Now I I think about them, but it's been ingrained as a habit, is when I put my head on the pillow, I ask myself, what did I do well today? Okay, it can be something very, very simple. I got up early. I felt tired, but I went to gym. That was a win. Okay. Did I have the best workout? No. Every day can't be Super Bowl day, but I got there. I did it. So I'm proud of myself. That's a win. The second one is what could I have done better today? So maybe I was a little bit snappy with a work colleague or somebody at the post office, for example. I could have maybe been a little bit more polite or patient. So it's good that I'm noticing that instead of letting my ego take over and going, well, they deserved that. They were like, they stepped in front of me.
Yeah.
Where we justify our poor behavior. And then the third one is who did I make better today? And, I'm sure this aligns with you as well. Your purpose is making other people better. And, this is something that's important for me, is this is not just about me. What did I do well today? What could I have done better today? That third question is, who did I make better today? And it could have been somebody on a phone call. It could have been someone that I just gave a small compliment to at the store, thanking them for their service, whatever it could have been. And that's how I self-reflect on a daily basis.
Love it. So good. So a bonus question. We're running out of time. Bonus question. The word failure. So many people are stuck can't get to growth because of this fear of failure. Just what is your perspective on that word failure?
Failure is your greatest teacher. Does anybody enjoy it? No. But failure has taught me more lessons than ever before. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. With all the successful and high performing people I've worked with, they've all gone through multiple failures and still do. And this is a key thing, Eric, and this is a great way to wrap it up, is they're not afraid to fail still. They're successful, but they have a better relationship. They have a more deeper relationship with failure than the rest. So what does that tell us? That they have more of a growth-minded approach to things.
Yeah.
Knowing that when I try new things, I might fail, but I will learn and I'll move forward. What's that famous quote by, I think, Thomas Edison, that he failed 1,000 times with
Yeah. How many times did you electrocute yourself before you finally got something right? Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Got burnt up. Yeah. It is the most painful. Life experience is the most painful educator, but it is the most powerful one if you do some of the things you're talking about right now. I just love everything that you talk about. I so agree with all of this. And from a business standpoint, those people who are listening to this, they're going to have failures. They're afraid to make a change that could grow their business, and they're afraid to make that change and take that risk. And there's that risk reward thing where they almost retreat back into mediocrity when they have this chance of really, and you can see it as a coach, you can say, wow, there's so much potential there. But yet they're like, I just want to go at this very, very, very slow snail pace, and getting them to say, look, even if you fail that, you can always go back to how you're doing it before. You can always go back to this way. Why not give this a try and fail miserably and then succeed on the other side of that? So I'm happy to hear your answer, and I really appreciate your time. How can people who are listening find you, get your books? Where would you direct us?
Sure. Thanks so much. Yeah, all the books are available on Amazon, which is the easiest place to get my books. And on social media, I'm pretty active on Twitter, which is at Allistair McCaw, which is my name, and on Instagram, Be Champion Minded. So those are probably the two best places on social media.
Yeah.
And then of course the books are on Amazon.
Love it. Yeah. Be champion minded. I follow you. I love all your stuff. So thank you so much for joining us again. And I want to let everybody know, at our Growth Summit, it'll be 2024 Growth Summit. It'll be the end of May. It'll be in Fort Lauderdale. And at that event, we do that a Friday, Saturday. On Sunday, we are adding life mastery. So there'll be a whole day seminar on life mastery, how to thrive in your life, because you're human beings, whether you're at work or at home, and it's all connected. So that would be a great place if you want to connect the dots on what we're talking about today, to experience that from us. And of course, if you want coaching, you can reach out to Heather at allstardentalacademy.com or myself, Eric, at allstardentalacademy.com. We thank you so much for spending your time with us today and listening. Thanks again, Allistair. I truly appreciate you. And for those that are joining us and taking the time to invest in yourself, thank you. And until next time, go out there and be an all-star.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Dental All-Stars. Visit us online at allstardentalacademy.com.